Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Transformers vs. Terminator issue number 2. Man, this was a phenomenal comic book. This was about as enjoyable gets. Sitting here reading this thing just like, wow. Wow. You get to see all the stuff from the Transformers. I'm talking the original Marvel Transformers, that 4-issue limited series. And you just see all these things happening, and you can see right where, this Terminator showing up, and Sarah Connor, coincidentally enough, showing up also, caused this to happen and made it so that these didn't happen instead. And you can see what would have happened in this alternate universe. I am so in love with this. I talked about it a little bit when I reviewed issue number 1. I'm going to talk about it some more in issue number 2. I'm going to be talking a little bit of spoilers. But yeah, that's just, it's almost mandatory with an issue like this. You really got to hit some of those finer points, but I'm not going to go too crazy with it. Anyway, I will talk about who made this comic book. So, written by David Mariette and John Barber. Those two are also responsible for the story in and of itself, along with Tom Waltz. Alex Milne, I think that's how you pronounce his name. That's the art. The colors are by David Garcia Cruz. Jake M. Wood does the letters and the design, and boom, Tom Waltz editor, Riley Farmer and Megan Brown on assistant editors. This was sick, dude. So the Terminator shows up, and he just right away, like, this is, you want to talk about an opening page. Megatron's like, for continuation from the previous issue, Megatron's looking down at Optimus Prime, who's unconscious and broken apart, like, finally, I can destroy you, and you're unconscious, you're not even going to notice, but you're dead, Optimus, and he's back to blast him with that fusion cannon, which would absolutely wreck him in the state that he's in right now, right? Bruh. The Terminator uses his shotgun, he's like, pew! It doesn't do anything except for cause a little bit of a distraction. Tell me how these guys, I want to say, under any other circumstances, I would say that they wasted 1 page, 3 full panels of Megatron just looking and looking and then just laughing at the Terminator. But it was done so well. The art is so perfect in this comic book that I'm looking at this, I'm just like, dude, this is one of the best opening pages I think I've ever seen. We've all seen that joke, that for the most part played out, almost stupid joke where somebody's just like, I'm going to do something, I'm going to get you, and then boom, and it's just like a little ricochet into nothing. Doesn't do anything to the guy. He's just like, he looks back and forth, and he just starts laughing like, you flee, you could barely do anything to me. Nah, this was the best one yet. This was just perfect, because while he's sitting there, Megatron's, of course, he's got to start talking about what he's going to do to the person before he does it, right? He's commanding these guys, go, Starscream, Soundwave, get in there and kick some butt. Take this guy out for me. Meanwhile, the Terminator's, doing this Cyberdyne system thing, and he's looking at weaknesses for all these things, like, your eye, your neck, and your knee. And he starts taking out the Decepticons. Like one little T-800 just taking out all these Decepticons, and it's not easy. It's not like he's just the badass thing out there. No, man. Like, his endoskeleton is showing. He's been jacked up big time, but it's freaking fantastic. All sorts of crazy things start happening. Of course, several of the Transformers start getting rezzed. It's going to be the 2 most popular of the Transformers. Because when Optimus up, I'm like, well, duh, of course. He was also the first Autobot to have been brought back also. But then you see Bumblebee winds up getting, turned also. I'm like, okay, I guess Sarah would have done that because he's bright yellow, maybe. But, come on. Maybe he was damaged the least, from the other ones. But, like, for me, my Transformers knowledge is like, all right, well, Bumblebee's closer to, what the heck is that thing? Teletron 1. They called Teletron 1. I think they called it Nanny or Auntie. They called it Auntie in the comic books. Like, it's closest to, Auntie, Bumblebee. But, yeah, I think I'm going to go over. I'm going to grab Brawn or Ironhide or somebody who, maybe Prowl, who would actually have a freaking chance against these Decepticons. What's Bumblebee going to do? You know what I'm saying? Whereas, Bumblebee, go pick up the glass gas gun that Cliffjumper uses. Come on, man. Do something actually, good with your life. Anyway, so this was this was hysterical. Like there were good serious parts. There were funny parts. The Terminator is cornered and asked, "Why are you trying to kill all of the Transformers, both Decepticon and Autobot?" And he gives his explanation. Bruh. Here's where a little bit of spoilers are going to come in. Because I'm not going to go into exasperating detail in this, but I am going to point out probably the key thing here. You can notice that he shows up, and if he didn't show up, Megatron would have killed Optimus, and therefore all of the other Transformers, and then would have gone on to just be the only Cybertronians. They wouldn't have known Autobot and Decepticon because there wouldn't have been Autobots. There would have only been Decepticons and therefore Cybertronians. So they're able to recognize these guys, these Cybertronians. They're all bad. They may not have recognized the Autobots, but they do recognize them as Cybertronians. So that's interesting. You know, you're not going to recognize their faction, but you do recognize their race, their species, right? So that was pretty much perfect. But the fact that Sarah and this T-800 showed up, that's what changed things. That one little stupid, essentially ineffective shotgun blast was enough that they were able to, you know, I don't know, save the Autobots, which therefore essentially saved the Earth too. We get one of Optimus's speeches, which of course we have to. If I was going to make any complaint about this comic book, it would be the most basic argument that I can make, which I think that for the sake of storyline, it's easily shot down. I'm simply going to point out it is a little bit tiresome when almost every time travel story that's out there has to do with, oh, I traveled through all of time, but I still got there just a little bit too late. Wow, man. Whatever, it is what it is. Obviously, if he was there any earlier or too much earlier, it could have, you know, messed it up so that now none of the Transformers were going to be reborn or anything, which would have been terrible because no Optimus, no Brawn, you know, like, how dare you? Either way, no matter how you cut it, this was a really fun comic book. I am definitely looking forward to the next issues. I'm hoping IDW does this thing every so often, fairly often, almost every time that I read an IDW comic book where it's like 5-issue limited series. The first 4 comic books are wow. And the 5th one's kind of like, oh wow, that just kind of sucked. So I'm really hoping that's not going to happen here because I'm digging this so much. This has got to be one of my favorite IDW stories out there. Just absolutely perfect. It really brings me back to the original Marvel days of the Transformers, and I love it. And I'm also out. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.